of being a securities professional. And so there's only so much you can do with small businesses or any type of entrepreneurial program once you have a securities license. And so I literally had to drop my securities license in order to actually effectively help business owners with their business. I fell in love with entrepreneurship many, many years ago. I love being a small business advocate, a consultant, a coach, a mentor, a friend. It's all about small business for me. I realized that over 99% of the businesses in the country are small businesses. And I mean micro businesses, less than 5 employees working out of their homes. Not necessarily, they don't have a location necessarily. They don't have employees necessarily. And they need all of the core structure that every other business needs, except for it's a different thing for them to be able to focus and do different things. So I wanted to empower myself and help empower them to create a better environment for them. And I love doing it. I love working with them. I love talking to them. I love that every problem is a unique problem, and I get to get in there and help them figure out ways to solve it. I'm good at creating systems and strategy, and that's what I love to do. And I'm having a great time. I've been doing it now for almost 18 years, and I can't believe it. And I can't imagine ever not doing it. You know, so I always develop new business ideas and new niches and new programs and new strategies. And right now I'm working on developing an organization that you're familiar with, the Roundtable, where we actually teach entrepreneurs how to develop professional relationships that can be fruitful for them. And it really is all about building trust and then leveraging that trust. And it requires a very methodical, scientific approach. It doesn't take time, it just takes effort and focus. And most people don't know how to do it. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of the secrets and some of the tips that I've learned over the years, and I've created and I've tested, and I know that they work 100% of the time with entrepreneurs to help them build the networks they're going to need to be successful.
So did you, it sounds like as you were helping businesses, you focused on networking or focused on building relationships, probably because you saw people not doing it right? Is that accurate?
Absolutely. I realize that, statistics have shown this for years, but more and more we know that 85% of all of our success professionally comes from relationships. Only 15% of our success comes from what we would call our KSAs, or our unique contributions. So, what we know from our knowledge, skills, and abilities only accounts for a very small percentage of what makes us successful. We need to build professional relationships for us to be successful now and far into our future. And if building organizations and entrepreneurs that don't do that will find themselves failing, and for reasons they won't even know about, because they don't have the relationships that would give them the information they need to be successful.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about is, and I remember when I was at some of our meetings, talking about it's like there's failure, right? There's businesses failing, but then they're struggling. And,
yes.
and one of the things that I'd love for you to talk about is, the difference between things being, everything requires effort, right? But it's
Absolutely.
a difference between, it's like somebody once said, like, pain is unavoidable, but suffering is optional. And, it's like the idea that you can fix something in your messaging, something in your relationship, something in even your model or your pricing, or something that will change you from sort of clawing and everything being hard to being easy. That really resonated with me. Do you think that's an accurate promise? Do you think that's true?
Absolutely, 100%. One of the things I like to help people try to understand is that we as human beings were never meant to do everything alone. Mm-hmm. We're social creatures. And I studied sociology as an undergrad, it's one of my majors, and I realized at that point in time that everything we know, we only know because someone else shared it with us somehow, some way. And so in order for us to be discerning about how we make decisions about what we should be doing, we need people around us to help us filter through the bad decisions, the good decisions, the right decisions, and the how-to. And the more people are on board with us and the more we're connected to those people, we're using our social intelligence we can create a higher likelihood of success, a safer environment for ourselves to play and stretch and try new things where we are not necessarily suffering.
Right.
You know, we are actually exerting an effort of growth, but we're not fearful because we're not alone.
Marvin, you got to promise as I bring things up not to just use me as a case study for every problem or pathology. Seriously, just put it as a pseudonym. Call it Frank O'Leary if you need to, because it's unacceptable. I think about you chided me once because, and I don't even know if you were chiding me directly. Again, it just felt like you were, but I'm a sharer, I'm a creator. And the problem is, you go back to your point about trust. I'll share things with people who don't know me, that they never heard of me. They don't know nothing. Right. And I'm just like happy as a clam. I'm just a kid in the sandbox sharing. But doing that, I do that because I want feedback, because I need to know what's going on, but it occurs to the outside world as, oh my God, what is coming at me, right? And so having, like what you're saying, having a network, having a community, having a mastermind of people who can help you see what you don't see and steer you and all that stuff is so extraordinary. So let's just dig into it, because otherwise you're going to be doing a therapy session for Fraser O'Leary, unpaid therapy session.
I'm glad you mentioned exactly what you mentioned, because most people feel exactly the way you feel because we're all taught the exact same way. You know, we're all taught that we have to perform. You know, we're all taught that we have to bring our brilliance out and share it with the world. And, you know, there's a timing associated with everything. You know, if you share something with me that I want you to share with me, then I'm going to receive it differently than if you share something with me that I'm not ready to receive. But we're all taught to pounce on the world with our ideas, our thoughts, our thing. But we're not really taught to be collaborative in that approach. And so therefore, we're taught to present something and then wait for the feedback, instead of working together to create something that when it's done, we already know that it's perfect.
Right.
You know, so that collaborative effort is lost on most entrepreneurs in the world. And that's what I'm hoping to bring back into to play, because we exist in a community, and that community either embraces us because it enjoys our contribution, or it rejects us because our contribution is meaningless. But we don't know until we work together to figure that out.
So there's lots and lots and lots to unpack, but let's dig in. I mean, whether it's so you're going to be speaking at the Networking for Good event and talking about how to kind of unleash your inner master networker, master relationship builder. Distill it down. What are some things that you're going to talk about that really will resonate and help people, whether they resonate or not? They're going to help people.
Well, I think the first thing that, to know, and we almost intuitively know this, but we don't know how to put it into practice, is how to learn how to actively listen to others, to really, really focus with no other agenda other than to understand what someone else can bring to the universe, can bring to the table, can offer. Because oftentimes that person is struggling to move something forward, to move some connection forward, to move some idea forward. Sometimes they don't even know what that is. But with the help of a person who really cares enough to try to listen to them, you can work collaboratively with them to understand that it's a safe place for you to speak. It's a safe place for you to communicate. It's a safe place for you to even, screw a couple ideas up. You don't have to be perfect here. You just have to bring you. And we're going to work with you to help you figure out what the best of that is. And I think that when we begin to look at the world in that way, and there's a quote, I can't remember the quote, but pretty much the paraphrase of it, and I promise I'll remember it for our presentation, but the paraphrase of it is literally, if you thought about every single person that you meet is here uniquely for this moment for you to get something from that person, and you spend more time trying to get something from that person than you do trying to give something to that person, then when you're ready to give something to that person, they will be able to receive it better. But it just requires us to sit back sometimes and think about, well, relationship building, not for the purpose of transaction, but for the purpose of building trust.
Right.
And then transaction will come along.
That's fascinating. And so I'm really intrigued about why other people, not me, I have no problem with this at all, as we've described, but why do other people jump to the front of the line? You know, why do all of us skip that step of listening and building trust if trust is so important?
Because marketing and sales training has convinced us that the law of large numbers is real. And we think the more people that we get to hear our message, the more we will get to that 1 to 1.5% that will say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't realize that when we're in a close environment with people and people see us over and over and over again, then all we've done by giving a presentation or a message that doesn't resonate too soon in a group of people, all we've done is turn off the opportunity for them to come closer to us. And we've created anxiety and stress, and we've done something that makes people just go away from us and turn us off, so to speak, instead of embracing us and coming closer to us. And we have to realize that marketing via relationship is different than marketing. And no one's teaching those kinds of techniques and those kinds of strategies to help people think the long term. We're all thinking short term. We're all thinking about the quarter. We're all thinking about the sales goal. We're all thinking, especially entrepreneurs, we're using acts of desperation to try to build a relationship. And that no one wants to build a relationship with somebody who's desperate, who doesn't bring anything to the table, but is trying to take everything from the table.
So do you think, like I think about, you know, we do the introductions, and now you see it on Zoom, right? People go around and they do their introductions.
Oh, yeah.
Do you, I'm sure that's fun for you. You got to bite your tongue. But do you think that what's happening is people are basically doing a commercial? They're doing a marketing message when they should be doing a relationship message?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100% of the time. And it really depends, because we have a tendency to try to offer everything that we have on the table in 60 seconds or less. And so we sound like a bunch of idiots,
right,
who actually don't know what they have to offer. And so therefore, when people look at us, people don't give us what we need because they've already assumed we're incompetent. You know, and who wants to work with somebody who's on the losing end? You know, what we really need to know is how and why you are a winner. What we really need to know is who you are as a person. What is your character? What do you believe in? What can we trust you for? What can we depend on you for? 100% guarantee. Give us a story. Give us something, some connective tissue of how you've been effective. And we can remember the story. We won't remember all the details or the 15 years you spent learning your craft or training on whatever it is. There's no way you're going to transfer that information to us. But we will know that you care. We will know what your values are. We'll know what your principles are. And we'll know that you're not going to embarrass us if we were to introduce you to someone else.
Right. And I remember, again, like you were sort of peeling back the onion, you know, every week we would get sort of a different sort of facet. And this is what I recall. And, you know, I think we talked a little bit, some of the facets were like, you know, I remember one specifically where it was one of the meetings where I don't know if you encouraged everybody to do this, but I know you did this. You said, here is a specific person that I am trying to connect with, right? And, you know, specificity, that's a type of specificity. That's like a person, but whether it's a hook or whether it's a niche or whether it's a specific way that you help people or whatever, you know, that stuff cuts through all that clutter. You know, people, yeah, they don't know what to do. So they used to talk about like show up and throw up, right? Or spray and pray, right? All these things where you just get up there and say everything in hopes that people are actually paying attention and trying to figure out. And fundamentally, nobody's, you know, you got to make people pay attention. I mean, they have to find something of interest, or else nothing's going to happen. But I do remember that one time when you had a specific request, and I, for whatever reason, had the guy that you were trying to connect with. I had him in my network. I don't know if we ever got you two to connected, but then you and I chatted about that, and it was like that one felt new to you too. That was like you were discovering, you were sort of learning about how to really talk about the stuff. It's all in your brain, but it was like you found a new way to talk about how to make your pitch or how to make your introduction more valuable. But you know, that was 3 years ago. I mean, I would love, like, what does a good introduction, not you know, I mean, let me ask you this. Can you do a good introduction to a group of people that you don't know?
Absolutely. But what you have to focus on is not them at that point. It's really about focusing on what you can share with them, how you can help them, make it easy for them to help you. But if you're, like you said, if you're broad and you're all over the place, you look like a jack of all trades, master of none, right? But when you're very specific about what you're trying to accomplish and why you're trying to accomplish it, not only do they know who they can introduce you to or what they can do for you, they know why. So there's no question as about, you know, what is the purpose of this? You know, what is it going to mean to you? If I say to you, you know, I want you to introduce me to the chairman of the Economic Development Authority down in your area of the woods, you know, you might know that person. You may come up with something or be close to that person. I'll tell you, it's very important for me to meet that person because I have strategies and programs that the county is delivering to small businesses, and I want to make sure they know how to convey these messages to their constituents, and it's going to make them look good. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to take advantage of anything. I want to share. And so that makes it easier for you to say, pick up the phone or call this person and say, listen, I got a guy you probably need to talk to. He's got a ton of opportunities for small businesses that are free and available for businesses in the county. I don't think you know him or he knows you, but we need to figure out a way you all can communicate. That's going to be an easy slam dunk. Right. Why wouldn't you do that? But if I ask you to go in your pocket and spend, you know, a couple $1,000s, you're going to have to second guess that. I don't have enough time to even give you enough information to make that decision.
Right.
In an introduction, you know, but giving someone something, an easy handoff that somebody can do is a much smarter play to get you to start to engage with them and create relationship. And next thing you know, all you got to do is the phone call. I make the phone call. I make the connection. It's a slam dunk. Frazier looks good. The person looks good. I look good. Everybody's happy.
Right.
And what do you want to do? You want to do it again. So now we can go deeper and make a more meaningful connection.
And Marvin, I mean, it sounds so straightforward and simple. And I mean, I think it's definitely taken or building on the fact that people do like to be valuable, right? If you ask me, if you say, hey, I'm looking for a guy who does really good work with embroidered hats, and I have a guy who has embroidered hats, then that gives me an opportunity to be helpful and a hero. Now, But one of the things that you alluded to was the concern about, is this person going to embarrass me? Is this going to use political capital as opposed to give political capital?
Absolutely.
You know, so you know, again, I'm just going to hit it back to you, but like, what is the difference between a good introduction, you know, a cold introduction? At our Networking for Good event in August, people are going to be able to either live or through video, live video or video, they're going to be able to have 60 seconds to introduce themselves. When
Right.
you see a good one, you've seen lots of bad ones, Marvin. When you see
Yes.
a good one, what is it about that makes you think that's going to be magnetic? That's going to be effective?
They're specific about their request. They have a request, and they're specific about their request. They always tell a story that's connected to the request, that reminds us of who they are, what they value, and, you know, and it's simple. They never use acronyms. They never use multiple or laundry list approaches to, you know, what they need or what they can do, because that's too complicated. And they keep it really, really simple, like 7th grade level at the most. No acronyms, no industry jargon, just a clear story of how they've helped someone in their world and how that was valuable to that person. Is real simple. And it's difficult for us to think this way because usually we're telling a story of how we're the hero. We need to be telling stories about how the client or the person receiving the services that we provide are the hero because they made the choice, because they made the selection. They decided that of all the decisions they could have made, they decided it's you because of these things. And then you just do what you do. Your daring do, your heroic work, whatever that is, it just shows up. It's a fait accompli because that's what you do. But you don't tell people that's what you do. You tell people this is what they experienced.
So I'm sorry, go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
you go ahead.
I remember now all these flood of memories are coming in. I remember some pushback that I experienced. So I wanted to share that with you and just see whether you know, about that. Because like one of the things I remember is people sharing stories. And part of me, my response to that was like, I'm not interested yet. I'm not interested enough yet to listen to this story, you know, almost. And I think about, and this might be a target audience thing, because I'll hear people introducing themselves at our networking stuff, and they're talking as if I'm a client. They're talking as if I'm a home buyer or seller, right?
Right.
And I'm like, you know, we talked about this. I told you when we talked that I did kind of like here are some ideas, you know, inspired by Marvin. Here are some ideas about how to improve your pitch. And one of them is to remember the whole, you know, everybody's tuned in to the same radio station, right? It's that WIIFM, what's in it for me, right? And so, you know, you may be a great animal trainer, or you may be a great printer, or you may be a great realtor, but that's not the station I'm tuned into. And I'm not even if I'm in an event where I'm thinking I'm supposed to be there to try to help you, I'm still tuned into the same station. So, right. You know, do you, one of the things that I always think about is, you know, you're going to have to give them a reason to care. And one of the reasons for somebody to care is that it's going to help them in their business. It's going to help them be a hero, like you say. So how does that reconcile with the story? If somebody's telling a story about how they're helping another client, I may not even care about that. I'm thinking, do you have a lot of clients? If you have a lot of clients, we could talk. Or do you have access to this person? You know, to what extent should somebody be talking about how they can help the people here in this room? Do you know what I mean?
So you should never be talking about how you can help the people in this room cold, because you don't know them and you don't know that you can help them. The assumption that you're making is that you can help them. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate because, you know, even if you have the world's greatest product or service, you can't say it in 60 seconds and be believable. There's just no way. What you need to bring in is third-party influence and third-party evidence of how wonderful you are. That has to come from someone else. So you can tell us what someone else said about you, but you can't say it yourself. You know, if you read a recommendation or a referral or an experience, a customer experience, that says much more than you saying, I do this and I do this and I do that and I have these credentials and I've been doing this for so many years and da-da-da-da-da. Because all that does, like you said, you're talking to me like I'm a potential client, victim, a suspect, whatever, right? You know, you're talking to me like that and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't come here to buy anything or make any decisions about buying anything. So you approaching me like that automatically makes me reject you, right? It would be better if you said, listen, I've got something that you're going to want to share with all of your friends. You are not going to want to keep this to yourself. And now I'm like, whoa, well, what is this? And then you hit me with a story of how effective you were for somebody else. And you give me the feedback from what their experience was. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to remember that. First of all, the story is sticky. I'm going to remember the story.
Right.
The story is sticky. Then I'm going to be able to repeat the story to somebody that I know and create and generate opportunities for you that you could never get through with your advertising and marketing strategy. Because advertising and marketing is, by definition, it means you got to put a big, broad message out there in a mass marketed media way, and you're looking for a couple % returns. But we're talking about now with groups of people that you know, that you want them to like you, want them to trust you. Then you're going to have to you have to put some more effort into actually what that message is and how that message is conveyed. Because you can't waste an opportunity. You can't have a person go, well, I don't want to buy from you, so therefore I don't want to refer you. Because all you're talking about is how you can buy from me. Well, if I decided I don't like you, I don't want you, I've also decided that none of my friends want you either.
So, Marvin,
but I could decide that, you know what? I got a lot of friends who would probably like you, even if you're not working for me. Tell me how you're going to make me look good to refer you to my friends.
Right.
What's the benefit to me, like you said, is I build social capital by bringing you into introduction to my friends, a person, or whatever.
So as we're thinking about, and so, the idea of a elevator pitch or the idea of a networking introduction, for this event at least, one of the things is we want to get people to meet each other, right? So is there some advice, some practical advice? You're going to be talking about kind of the general principles about how to build that trust and to how to make you stop doing the things that you're doing that either try to skip the steps or whatever. But is there a way in 60 seconds for somebody to move the ball? Not make a sale, not get somebody to know, like, and trust them, or, maybe a little bit, right? A little bit of know, like, and trust. But I always think about it as what I want to have happen is I want that person to come up to me afterwards. I want that person, I mean, I want that person to put a big old check mark by my name and say, I have got to go talk to Frazier, right? I call it the broken glass test. I'm like, I want them to feel like they would crawl over broken glass at that event to get my business card and follow up with me afterwards. Now, that may be too much. Maybe that's me doing a Frazier, right? Trying to speed the process of and make it an advertising or whatever. But do you think that that's possible? I'll say, I'm going to answer one of this. If you're at an event and you say, hey, I'm Marvin. I've got this network of hundreds of thousands of businesses in Northern Virginia, and I help them improve their business. There's a big old check mark by Marvin's name in my book, right? Because because who you are resonates with what I think would be valuable for me in my business.
But I would never present that. I would never present that because, first of all, I'm not going to introduce anybody to all the people that I know. Not going to happen. And so, more importantly, what I would say is, what I love most about what I do is I get to advocate and be the person for business leaders in case they need an idea of where to go next, of what to do next. And I don't charge them for that. And so if you have a friend or an associate or somebody who might feel like they're stuck in something, you can be sure that if you have them give me a call, I will help them move the needle and move them forward in a way that's going to be meaningful to them. And it won't cost them a dime. So the only reason you have to not do it is you don't trust me. So if that's the case, let's figure out what we can do to increase that trust so that you can use this tool, me, for the benefit of you and your friends. My name is Coach Powell. I run Coach Powell Training Development, and I love entrepreneurs. Those kinds of things share a ton of benefits that you can offer to people that you choose to bring into your network. It's not going to be for everybody. I'm not going to do this for everybody. But for the people that are in the room right now, I will make that offer because I want to be in relationship with them and potential business that they have. And the best way for me to do that is to share who I am and why I do what I do versus here's what I can do for you. The minute you say you, or I'm talking to you, or I work with people just like you, you're now making me think, do I want you? Do I need you? Do I like your haircut? Do I like, the way you smell? Am I interested? Your outfit sucks. I would never hire somebody who has an outfit like that. That's just running through my brain. And I'm not listening to what you have to say because I didn't come here to buy anything. So you just wasted that opportunity to turn me on to who you are. You want me, like you said, you want me going up there afterwards, like, I want to help you. So tell me who you are, why you're doing what you're doing. Why is it so important to you that you're successful in this? That is going to make people go, you know what? I want to help you. I understand what your vision is, what your mission is, what you're trying to accomplish. I want to get involved. I want to be on your team. I want to be a part of your success.
No, I definitely hear you. I think it's interesting. I mean, there's or not the breakdown, but the tension between talking about, and I hear what you're saying. Like if I'm saying I'm a chiropractor and I say I can help you eliminate back pain, well, first off, if you're talking to a group of businesses, you don't presume everybody's suffering from back pain, right? You need to be talking about their pain, right? What is their pain? But you're saying, I think, and tell me if I'm mishearing it, you're saying that I can't necessarily hypothesize or work under the assumption that I know what their pain is. So I need to start with who I am and what I do. And it felt to me like, in a relationship, in a network where you're getting to know the person, that's a little bit of a different dynamic than in a cold room where I really want to talk about how I believe I can help the person, help these businesses, and then with the concept that they'd follow up and we'd have that conversation. But it sounds like you're saying I'm off on that.
Right, because everybody's doing that. Everybody. Imagine you like 30, 40, 50 people in a room and everybody's trying to pitch everybody. And here's what's actually going on in everybody's head. I got to make sure when everybody else is doing their pitch, you're thinking first, I got to make sure I do a good job. I got to think about what I'm saying. I got to make sure I got that squared away. I know what I'm going to say. And then you say it. Your turn comes up and you say it. You didn't listen to anybody before you, right? And then you say whatever it is you think you want to say. And then you go, oh my God, I forgot to say this, and I wanted to say this, and this didn't work out too well, and this is what you're thinking, and you're not listening to anybody you're talking to now. So imagine everybody's doing it. Nobody has put down their own selfish agenda and actually plugged in and started listening to everyone around them. And those who are speaking are not even saying anything that's worth listening to anyway. And so with that in mind, this is why most of this networking stuff really sucks, because people think they're doing something because they're expending energy.
Right.
But they're doing nothing. In fact, they're making themselves look bad and almost guaranteeing the next time they come up to bat to say something to the same group of people, there's even more people not listening to them.